Hey everyone, my name is Marissa. Welcome to my divination channel. I'm very excited to offer these readings to you today. Really quick, just about me. My purpose and intention for being here is to experience the most amount of freedom possible, and I do so by aligning with more and more my soul's blueprint, actualizing my soul's blueprint, and carrying out my true nature. And divination and tarot is one of the ways that I'm guided to help support and encourage the collective at this time to do the same. So these readings today are about August energies. There are two main aspects to these readings. We will be diving into the light aspect, so where you're feeling very strong and elevated in terms of your energies and your life's purpose, your soul's calling. And the next aspect we're diving into is where you might be experiencing some challenges, and we don't back down from a good challenge, right? It's all here pointing us in the same direction, essentially. So I really hope that you like these readings today. We have 4 piles to choose from. Over here to the very left is pile number 1, pile number 2, pile number 3, and pile number 4. And when you're feeling ready, we're gonna hop right into these readings. Hi, group number 1. Welcome to your reading for August energies. Over here to the left, we are dealing with the light aspect or the strength aspect of this month for you. Over here to the right is the challenge. Now, already I'm getting the sense that these have to do with one another, right? That these are feeding into each other, because it seems like there is some sort of challenge that is happening within your romantic life that is catalyzing you into yourself, to becoming even more independent in yourself and not relying so much on other people and things outside of yourself to mean something about your worthiness. And like you're not relying so much on this romantic thing to go according to your plan in order to feel good about yourself and to feel centered. I do see you centering and deepening into your sense of self. There's a lot of rapid expansion that's happening, especially with the Tower and the 8 of Wands coming together. I feel like there is some conflict that is catalyzing an awakening, or an epiphany, something that comes in that happens really quickly or that almost comes on suddenly. But I feel like it's very liberating. I feel like it takes you deeper into yourself and you're gaining insight around how you show up in relationships and where you might settle and why this thing probably wasn't as good as maybe you thought, or you're just seeing it more clearly at the very least. You're not putting all of your eggs in this dynamic or in this thing, this relationship. I feel like this also could have to do with just like a job too, or something that you're like married to, something that is like a big part of your life and a big part of your foundation, okay? Something that you're committed to with the kiss and the Hierophant. I'm getting the sense that there's some sort of commitment, and it's something that has been bringing a lot of conflict in your life, and you've been wondering for some time, like, where is this going? Where should I go from here? And I feel like in August, it's very clear that it's dead and it's done. And now healing is wanting to happen. And I feel like at some point, pile number 1 thought that this was going to be its long-term plan, or in a part of your life. Sorry, it's a part of your life long-term. But I do feel like it's one of those things where it just provided a lot of lessons. So at some point it needed to be something that kind of became all-consuming in terms of your time, your energy. I do feel like for a lot of people, though, this does have to do with romance, but the symbol of job and career was coming through, so I wanted to honor that as well. And so this is something that I feel like in the past you might have tried to, like, in an innocent way manipulate, or it's like you weren't, pile number 1, it's like you weren't just like seeing things for what they were. It was like there was a resistance to just being honest about this thing, and maybe even a fear of like what would happen, almost like You guys are stepping beyond this needing to manipulate your external circumstances and the people in it and your external environment in order to feel a certain way about yourself. And there's so much here about, yes, you can do it on your own, and yes, you can make it, and you can be fulfilled, in this new direction. And this is all meant to take you unto yourself, because the more that you're connecting with that inner self, your inner wellspring, the more that these external things are just going to like flourish or flow out of you. There's that saying, what is it? Like, seek ye first the kingdom, right? The God within, whatever you want to call it. Seek ye first the inner self, and all else shall be added unto you. That's kind of this catalyst that I'm seeing. You're being brought deeper into yourself. And so I feel like there's some insight that's coming in, and a lot of rapid expansion, honestly. And I feel like you're feeling pretty content about this thing internally. It's almost like you might be surprised the month of August of how peaceful and unshook you feel, despite whatever this like shakes up in your external reality, right? Regardless of how other people respond to you, or how other people like they would like to think about this situation, or what. This is guiding you deeper into yourself. And I feel like long term, this is setting you up to just like be really stable within yourself, and to be less shook by what happens in the external reality, and putting less of your sense of self, your sense of identity in these things that are always changing, right? Spirit is coming in and reminding you that, the only part of these tower moments, it's important to remember that this tower of regeneration, it's only breaking down those things that aren't in alignment with where you're headed, and aren't in alignment with, the truth, the parts of yourself that you have revealed that are more truthful, versus those things that we were maybe sticking around for and doing because we just didn't really know any better, and we were just operating out of like old patterns, etc. So, I mean, August is, you're really feeling, I feel like despite this thing maybe not working out how one or both people had intended, I feel like you're feeling very independent and very focused and very determined, and creating a future. Like, this is a slow and steady kind of energy, which is really positive, of like, the strongest foundations take time, and the strongest foundations we want to see where it's built upon sand, so we can build it with something that is more substantial and firm. Okay, but I feel like a challenge is like deciding that it's time to go a new direction, and maybe fearing that you're going to let other people down. There might be some arguments, there might be just some uncomfortable conversations, but it's sparking a healing and a regeneration in all parties. And it's just important to just be honest with ourselves and with other people. There's like, I came across this quote the other day by Ram Dass that just has like sat with me. And he said, it's so freeing when you're just upfront with people and honest. I'm totally paraphrasing, but he said honesty in relationships is so freeing because there's not this paranoia, that you don't carry around this weird paranoia of like putting on a show or like hiding something. And I was like, oh my God, that's so true. That's where all of my paranoia comes from, is feeling that, I can't be honest in who I am, and I can't be honest in how I see things, and I can't be honest in my expression, and, and that I have to like dim part of my truth so other people will get me or something, And so I feel like that's kind of this energy that you're being invited into, is expressing your truth, and knowing that this is a healing that's going to happen within all parties, or it's a catalyst. Not everyone takes the opportunity, but I do see pile number 1, you're very wise. And so you'll lean into the lesson that this has for you, and the wisdom that this has for you with this Hierophant energy. Yeah, and I feel like this is something with the star, I'm getting a sense that you might have always intuited this as well. This is part of like your intuition, that, the lesson that you're gaining from this already has already been revealing itself to you. And I feel like maybe at one point you were like, oh, I could see this being long-term, but you're like, okay, now it's time. And we're revealing more of our truth, right? We're sinking more into our truth. And so what's created from there is going to be different, and that's fine. Doesn't mean it's better. It's just more relevant for where you're going. All right, pile number 1. So I'm going to leave this reading here for now. I hope this brought clarity, confirmation, peace to your heart today. If it did, please give this video a thumbs up. Maybe comment something down in the comment section if this reading applied to you. Whatever, you can leave an emoji or whatever. These all help my channel reach people with healing messages when and if they need them. And I do hope to see you again on my channel soon. Much love. Hey, group number 2, welcome to your reading for August energy overview. Okay, so you guys are showing up like the month of August. There is this sense of determination, perseverance, this incredible sense of authority. I'm pretty sure I said wow when I flipped these 3 cards over like this. There is a sense that destiny is taking over and that you are no longer feeling the need to dim your truth in order for other people to like get you. There's a sense of almost like you might even come across cold to people the month of August, but I feel like it might just be because you're not used to being so upfront, or people aren't used to you being so upfront, or I think just in our society in general, like we're just so used to people beating around the bush. Like, I don't know, this has been like I've been hyper aware of this in my interactions with people, but you know how when people say like, how are you doing? And then we just say good. Well, it's not good. For a lot of people, it's not always good. And it's not always how they're actually feeling, you know? And so I'm getting the sense of like breaking beyond the social script of things, and the things that once scared you, pile number 1, I feel like you're seeing them for the illusions that they are. Things that once scared you, I feel like are not, they don't hold the same power that they did, even maybe like a couple weeks ago. I really am seeing a huge shift in your authority and just your ability to see beyond the smoke and the mirror of things. And this feels like you're lighting like much more with your destiny and in the month of August and going for it. And I feel like there might even be something new and exciting that presents itself, or something that keeps your fire alive, this warrior spirit alive, and a new direction that you might even be going that seems like you don't really have control over. It kind of seems like fated, and it is kind of getting you thinking and wondering, like, where is this going, or what's the point of this? And I feel like the biggest challenge for you, the month of August, with the Bardo and the 7 of Cups, I feel like a challenge for you guys might be trying to figure out where something is going, trying to assume you know where something's going. It could have to do with a relationship in your life, because we have the Hierophant, the 4 of Wands, and the Lovers. This could just be one aspect, one challenging aspect within the month of August, and not the challenging aspect, but in general, I feel like the challenge for you guys is just leaning into that creative spark and not needing to know always where it's going, and not needing to, like, maybe even like bridging the gap, trying to figure out how do I bridge the gap between like this new energy that I feel I'm in and like in a cycle that has ended or a cycle that is ending. You know, there might be some challenge around something that's ending, and where do I go from here? Like, how do I, you know, how is this all going to work out? And so the focus, I feel like, really is on just following that spark and being okay with changing directions if you need to, being okay with understanding, I guess, the fact that, I guess what I'm trying to say here is understanding that your calling, it's not a thing. It's not a set of circumstances. It's not your job. It's not your career. It's like, it's your blueprint. It's how you are. It's how you be. It's how you carry yourself. And the things that happen externally, those are just like the bells and whistles that support that calling, that inner blueprint for a time being. It doesn't mean that it's going to be there forever. And so I feel like there might be a challenge around, somewhat similar to pile number 1, around something that has been in your life for a while, something that you have made some sort of commitment to. And it's like not really seeing how this fits in my long-term plan, especially with this new energy that I'm in, and me being a little bit less in the closet about my true self and showing the full spectrum of who I am, of who you're becoming. And so I am getting there's this sense of maybe a little bit of confusion of where this is all heading and how this all ties into like the grand scheme of things, or how this like new group of people you're around, or these new environments you find yourself in, or something like, how does this apply? And I'm hearing that something about observance, just observing yourself and observing things might help, just observing your own thoughts, even observing the new environments you find yourself in, because there's a deeper truth here. There's like deeper wisdom that this is showing you. But yeah, with the 2 of Swords in reverse, especially with the challenge being the Bardo and the Bridge, I feel that you guys are in the month of August, and this might be something that's already been culminating for you, be very confused or feeling very unsure of the right way to go. All right, the right way to like carry out your life and making the right decisions for yourself. And there is, I feel like there might be a tendency or a desire to want to play it safe or to choose the path of seeming least resistance. But you know that there's a reason in Tao Te Ching it says the path that seems easy is hard, and the path that seems hard is easy. So sometimes it is hard to follow something that only we can see, right? Sometimes that seems like the hardest part, but then the more that you tune into your emotional guidance system and you follow those things that inspire you, and you kind of investigate and observe what those challenges were here to show you, because it all points in the same direction. Both your fears and desires all point in the same direction, right? Of becoming more of your true self. They're both methods, I guess you could say, to get your attention, to show you what is truthful for you and what is in alignment for your soul's blueprint. And so you're just becoming more clear about that and releasing old ways of doing things, releasing old ideas of how things should be or how they've done or what's going to make the most amount of sense to the most amount of people. It's like, I feel like a challenge for you might just really be leaning into, well, what makes sense for you? What feels liberating for you? What feels good to walk away from? You know, what cycles of death feel good to honor? But yeah, I feel like there might be this back and forth of where do I go? What do I do? Because I feel like there might just be, in terms of your long-standing commitments, it just feels like it's not really making sense anymore. And it will make sense. Okay, it will make sense. And I'm also hearing to just honor like the confusion, because confusion is the gateway to clarity. Right before we have an epiphany, like things get really freaking muddied, you know, leading up to that oftentimes, right before we have like a major epiphany. And so it's interesting because on one sense, you're becoming so clear about yourself, about your calling and what you're here for, but maybe in terms of like the little details in life, it might not be so sure. And like the practicalities of life, you might not be so sure. But I'm hearing the bridge will become obvious, and in big and small ways to continue to follow that spark of fire, no matter how I feel like there might be a judgment of yourself of feeling flighty or feeling like non-committal. You know, it's interesting. We have all these cards of commitment, and then we have the Knight of Wands, which is the ultimate card of like non-commitment and being like uncommittal or whatever. I'm not sure if any of these are words, but I feel like these can all exist. There's a lot of embracing paradox within the month of August for you in order for things to make sense. So where two things that seem that they don't go together are actually like necessary for this chapter, this part of your life. And there might be something too about like a death, like giving up freedom for some of you guys, like feeling like, oh, am I giving up my freedom by making this commitment and by, you know, going down this business venture, or by like saying yes to this person, or, you know, there's a sense of like, am I giving up my freedom by doing this? And there's this like back and forth energy of how can these things coexist? And I'm not here to give you an answer, but I feel like the answer will present itself when you just honor your transformation, and when you can continue to voice and express what feels right to you, right? Just being as honest as you can with yourself and with other people that are involved, and to, you know, stay determined and to keep your mission and what you feel like you're here for at the forefront of your awareness. And, you know, eventually the waters will settle down, and the mud will settle, so to speak, and things will become much more clear to you in terms of the direction. But I am hearing that you already know. Majority of you guys already know the direction to go, but there might just be like, I feel like just a questioning of yourself, or a questioning of your integrity or something. And maybe even a fear of how other people are going to respond to this like change of heart, or to this like expansion that you're going through, or that you're adding on to your life. So I'm going to leave this reading here for now, pile number 2. I hope this brought clarity, confirmation, and peace to your heart. If it did, comment down in the comment section, maybe like this video if it resonates. This all helps my channel expand and reach more people that these messages need to reach. And I do hope to see you on my channel again soon. Much love. Hey, group number 3, welcome to your reading for August energies. So over here to the left, we have the light aspect and we have the challenge aspect, and there is a link to them. And I was feeling that even despite these two cards coming up, in both aspects, I feel like that just even more so confirms the direct correlation between these things. It's almost like the challenge is catalyzing this light aspect within you. I'm really seeing that you guys are gaining a lot of clarity around your biggest fears and a lot of clarity around the things that you haven't really understood about your life and yourself, and these like karmic patterns that for the life of you felt like you couldn't shake, no matter how much introspection you did, no matter how much A, B, C, and D, right? It's like these old karmic patterns, and maybe it's one pattern in particular. I feel like that has been an undercurrent of creating and coloring how you see life. You're gaining clarity about it. And what's interesting about this hunter, like I see this card as like surrounded by darkness, and there's like such a determination to like find the light, even if it's just a tiny little hole, right? Even if it's just a tiny pierce through the veil of illusion. And so it might have felt like for some time that these patterns were just so debilitating and that you couldn't get beyond them. And I feel like it's reaching a culmination point to where you finally receive some sort of breakthrough. And I feel like you might have been carrying around some guilt, and you have felt defeated by this pattern. You felt absolutely defeated by it and not sure how to move forward, not sure how to move beyond it, not sure how to not hold yourself in judgment, not sure how to not hold yourself in condemnation, and to think littler of yourself because there have been some karmic propensities that may have been affecting your experiences, and that may have been affecting how you see the world and how you interact with other people. And so you're finally gaining some sort of insight or clarity around it. And I feel like it's freeing up a lot of creative potential to where the month of August, I feel like you're just receiving divine ideas left and right about where to go, about what to do, about what to make. And even if it's not where to go, it's like your creative projects, because there's not so much of this pain that's being eaten away by shame or embarrassment or like shoulds, coulds, woulds, and by trying to like clean up a mess that you like knew better than to make or something. I feel like it's freeing up a lot of this, or there's potential to free up a lot of this. The Shakti essentially is the creative force of the entire universe. And the more that we're bound by our karma and our limitations, the less that Shakti can be channeled into productive areas, right? Productive ways. And so I feel like there is a curiosity that you're carrying in the month of August. This curiosity, I feel like, is opening space for this breakthrough to happen. So not holding yourself in condemnation, remaining curious about things ensures your victory. And I feel like this has been a slow and steady kind of unfolding for you. I feel like this is a karmic pattern that has been in your life for some time. I feel like the areas that it's probably affected you are in your confidence the most, in your self-esteem. It's felt very illusory of how to get to the bottom of this. I feel like it's something that you've tried to conquer before, and you've tried different modalities, and Spirit has just really been encouraging you towards an approach that is more based in wisdom and less based in like logic and maybe like therapy. And I'm not saying that therapy is bad, but like things not of just this mental plane, not just of this physical plane, like this is cause and this is effect, that kind of thing, but seeing this more spiritual nature behind this thing and behind these things. And I feel like you're becoming more comfortable in not needing to know or not needing to overcome. And because of that, I feel like something is finally becoming very clear to you that you've been working towards or working to free yourself from for some time. And I feel like you might even have like an ultimate moment, like this ultimate like epiphany moment to where there's like no going back, right? And so what I mean by that is sometimes we can find ourselves in spaces like breath work. This tends to happen for me when I'm in a powerful breath work container, and like I'll have an insight come through that completely makes my whole life make sense. Or, I've had one before where I saw this cord, this unworthiness cord, I saw like my entire life's events, where it was born, how I tried to avoid it, then how I tried to like overcome it, but understanding that my overcoming it, wanting to overcome it, was still perpetuating this idea that it was real, you know. And it was this like pivotal moment for me to where I really changed naturally. I didn't change because I still like I wanted to, and I felt unworthy, and so I wanted to become worthy. I changed because I saw that that was just an illusion. The idea of being unworthy was just an illusion. And so again, it was that curiosity, that being open about it, that kind of like led me to that victory. And so even the way that I carried myself, the way I interacted, like it really changed a lot in just how I carried myself and how I conducted my projects, and you know, how I just like showed up in my life. And so I feel like that's kind of something similar. And because of it, you're becoming more confident. You're just much more grounded within yourself. Like true confidence is not having insecurities, but it's, you know, being okay with those things that are in your field. It's being okay with those things being there, and knowing that ultimately it doesn't have to do with the truth of who you are. And yeah, I feel like the greatest challenge for you might even be in accepting like the lens of perception that is more accurate of who you are, because it might have been so much easier for you to believe in this negativity and for you to believe these non-serving parts of your storyline in your early incarnation. It might have been just more comfortable because that's what you were used to. It's more familiar, that more like kind of dulled down version of yourself, that diluted version of yourself. And so I feel like there might be some sort of catalyst to where you're like, God, I'm over it. Like, I don't care anymore, you know, let people perceive me how they will, or something, to where it's like that the straw finally breaks the camel's back. And I feel like it's something that has been, you know, making you believe that you're less than, and that you don't deserve things, and that you're awkward or insecure or not confident or don't know what you're doing, or, you know, there's so many different things. And I feel like the challenge might be to accept a new narrative for yourself, to accept like what is actually true about yourself. And that is, you are a highly intuitive individual. Okay. Your intuition is through the roof, and maybe you don't express it very much, or maybe you haven't, or maybe you're expressing it more. There's something about expressing your truth, because that is where your authority really lies. And that's where not only other people, that doesn't really matter, but yourself, you really see the effect that you have. You really see how what you share does have the ability to really change paradigms, not just your own paradigm, but other people's, in a positive way. And so the challenge might be accepting this new narrative of you're fiery and you're here for transformation, but you're also like loving, and you want the best for everyone. And, you know, embracing this dualistic nature of yourself, the fire and the water, you know. We even have that again reiterated with temperance, is all about fire and water. So like reharmonizing yourself, adopting a new storyline, letting that alchemization happen, and releasing releasing guilt, releasing judgment, releasing the shame you've carried from being debilitated, from feeling debilitated, from just like, I don't know, I'm just getting the sense that you nitpick yourself a lot, and that you might be very critical of yourself and how you show up, and thinking you could show up better. But again, I feel that there's a huge epiphany coming through, to where that veil is pierced. And it's like when the light reveals to you the truth of yourself and these, you know, this pattern, don't run from it, and accept what this light is revealing to you, and leave the rest where it is. You know, let the past go, because there's new adventures for you. And yeah, you deserve this. You for sure deserve this, because I feel like you've been through a lot, and you're carrying a lot. You transmute a lot, not just for yourself, but for a lot of people. I do feel like you're in service here for the planet, you know, and so that's just overall what the codes I'm getting. Like, there's a big part of your blueprint that is really here to serve, and not just about your own lessons, etc. So pile number 3, enjoy the healing process and the process of alchemization that you're so clearly going through. And yeah, you got it. All right. If this video resonated, please leave a like, leave a comment down below. Yeah, both of these things really help my messages reach the people that they need to. And I do hope to see you on my channel again soon. Much love. Hi, pile number 4. Welcome to your reading for August energy. So, very powerful start. I mean, anytime the Self card comes up in a reading, it's one of my favorite cards. I mean, this is the card about bringing your innermost truth to the outside. I feel like your inner guidance is really spot on in the month of August. I feel like there's a big emphasis here of not questioning your truth and not questioning your gut. It's 11:11 right now. Okay, so not questioning yourself, because your connection to yourself is very spot on. And there might be some decisions to be made that is highlighted here that's connecting these two aspects that might feel burdensome, or that might just like cause some anxiety, because pile number 4, I feel like you're worried about making the wrong decision because it's going to affect other people in your life. And I feel like because this is coming up as your light aspect, this is really saying that you have done a very good job at following those things that light you up. You have done a very good job at celebrating life in the ways that make sense to you and becoming very self-sufficient with this 9 energy. I'm hearing too, the unseen card is all about guidance from your guides, your spirit guides and your higher self. And the Hermit tells me that you've in the month of August, you're in a very contemplative, meditative, like very peaceful state. But there also is like a lot of fire that's coming up too. Okay. And so in terms of making decisions, I feel like it feels like there's so many different ways that pile number 4 could go. And there's like some indecision that I'm really seeing here. And a necessity to understand that something might need to be sacrificed, like something that feels like you might not want to give up, or that might seem like it's just, I don't know, something that you're used to, or something that like ends up in the end, it's like one of those things where I'm just getting the sense of someone that's like, oh, I just like knew I shouldn't have done this, or I know how this ends, or like this is like energy that I don't really want to be in, those things that weigh you down. Okay, but I do feel like you're being presented in the month of August with a new decision, which presents a challenge, because it's very like, it's taking you out of this meditative state that you have been cultivating and bringing you into like, you know, needing to make some decisions, practical decisions, and understanding that things are turning, things are happening, new timelines are presenting themselves to you. And part of this challenge might be needing to reach out to other people and ask for help with this 3 of Pentacles coming in, and, you know, this 10 of Wands, just feeling overburdened by this decision, by this new direction. And I feel like something that's going to help you through this is being very honest with yourself about those things that weigh you down and those things that keep you in old patterns, old behaviors. You know, if it's old associations, or even if it's not like the same people. It's like when you find yourself in environments where it's like similar to environments you had been in the past. So a better way of breaking this down might be something that like an epiphany I recently had. Like, I've been hanging out with a friend who has a motorcycle, and I love going on rides with him. And I found myself at like this really cool like bike and car event yesterday, and it was pretty fun. I love meeting people, and, you know, I see God in everyone, or I do my best to when it's harder in some cases. And I remember being like, oh my God, like 10 years ago, I was in this like dive bar, people smoking. Granted, I was probably like blacking out or something. Okay, I don't want to make this about me, but like it was cool to like see my growth. But at the same time, I'm like, wow, this feels like the same people, the same type of things that I feel like I've kind of outgrown in a way. So that kind of thing, like really being able to establish yourself in a new space, or in similar spaces where you can see your growth, or where you're carrying yourself in a different way. You're carrying yourself in a way with more authority and more so in your power, even if you like have to be in certain spaces or you just find yourself in certain spaces, just showing up with more authentically and not maybe perpetuating the same patterns that you might have before, which is where we were maybe sacrificing our truth in order to blend in order to fit in, versus like I heard when I was like just tuning into this energy initially of you're going to need to be okay with hurting some people's feelings. And this is like not an intentional thing. Like we're not going out seeing where we can like offend people. But I feel like a big part of this challenge for you is maybe it's just easier for you to keep these things to yourself, or maybe it's easier for you to kind of sacrifice your own well-being because it seems like other people wouldn't be able to handle the truth or something. Or wouldn't be able to handle your truth or something like that. So even it's not a bad thing if we're like, going out and, just like meeting people or going out and being in similar environments that we thought we had outgrown. But what sets the difference, I feel like, is now you have an opportunity to kind of see how far you've come by, just being more relaxed in yourself, being more relaxed in who you are in your expression. And I do feel like ultimately, I feel like the month of August, you're being presented with these many decisions to make. Like it might be like a series of small decisions where it's like, okay, am I leaning into this old paradigm, or am I leaning into something that feels much more authentic, right? Like a much greater representation of the person that I've grown into, the person I've grown into be. And I feel like the areas that you're going to see this the most are in your relationships. That's where we grow the most. I feel like it's going to be like night and day, and you might have some old things come up where it might feel debilitating, and you might feel like, oh God, like I thought I'm past this, or, I feel like this is just like how you show up in the lives of other people. And if it seems like old things are happening, or like old patterns are presenting themselves, I am hearing that it's important to remember, like you might feel like, oh God, have I even grown? Like, have I even grown in these 10 years or whatever? Because we have 2 of these 10s coming up, or, have I even grown at all? And to not, there's something here, there's something more to this, to these experiences, that are here to liberate you. And I feel like the challenge might be keeping your perspective, like keeping a high perspective and not getting lost in the illusion. That's what Anima Mundi reminds me of, right? Being in the world but not of it. And so you might be getting just caught up in these old ideas of yourself, old paradigms, old, and maybe not really seeing how far you actually have come, or not seeing that sometimes that's how we officially close off karma, is when we decide to show up different, or we decide to do different. It's like you're making a different decision than what you've done in the past, whether it's internal, external, it doesn't matter. I can't tell you that. There's many different layers and levels we're operating within at once. And so I feel like on one level you feel so good about like yourself, and you have this level where it's like, oh my gosh, you've never felt so free. You never felt so much like yourself. You're increasing your meditation, your peace, your contemplation, your inner fire. You're excited about life. And then it's like some elusive things start to happen. Like you've never felt so confident. And I feel like something kind of pokes and prods at your foundation that might cause you to like maybe revert back to protection mechanisms where you did sacrifice your truth. You did stay quiet instead of speaking up. You did, decide to like carry the burden of not expressing your truth or not showing up authentically. And so now it's like you have the opportunity to make a new decision, to stand out in a different way. Not because you feel like you have to prove anything to anyone, but because that's your true self coming through. That's the easier thing to do in the long run. That's easier. Sometimes in the short run, it seems like by not speaking up or by not being authentic or not being transparent that it's making it easier. But it's like withholding the God within I don't know. I feel like that's the biggest risk that we could ever take, is withholding our true self. And so you're tapping more into it, and it's like re-inviting that true self to come online more when you're around these people, when you're in, you know, these romantic dynamics, and not like being a closet, you know, spiritualist or a closet whatever, and then getting lost in the world, or, you know, not showing those true colors. And again, there's many layers to these things. Honor what feels right to you. But yeah, I'm going to leave this reading here for now. Please like this video if it resonated. Comment down below anything, an emoji if you want. It all helps my channel reach more people. And I do hope to see you again on my channel soon. Pile 4, much love.